Record to the. So if anybody says it's recording, just say okay, because we want to do that. But otherwise, we have Leslie Fruman tonight. She is a bead and metal artist from San Juan Capistrano, California. She teaches off-loom bead weaving as well as metal jewelry techniques. She's been teaching for a number of years and truly enjoys it. Leslie's passion for all the colors and textures made possible by the marriage between beads, metals, and stones keeps her excited. She fabricates clasps and connectors and often semi-precious stones to enhance the design. Her art jewelry pieces are one of a kind. Leslie has won awards for some of her combination bead and metal projects. She says, my roots run as an artist, run deep back to my childhood. I love to see my mother get dressed up, hair done, makeup on, fancy dress and shoes, jewelry and perfume, and of course, an evening bag for the complement of the look. I love those evening bags, some with rhinestones, some made from metal, others were plastic. The most elegant were beaded. From this, my passion for fancy stuff was born. The vision of my mother dressing up combined with the ability to work with my hands enabled me to pursue my passion and recreate my childhood memories in my art. Today, this manifests itself in a body of work that displays simple, unique, and elegant combinations of beads, metals, and stones. She says, as an adult, 2 other influences helped me to hone my vision, my teachers and my students. My teachers helped shape my focus, hone my skills, and stimulate my art. My students taught me to look through the eyes of others, which dramatically expanded my color horizons and palette. Without their help, I would never have dreamed such color combinations, nor dare to use them. Nothing excites me more than mixing colors and textures sprinkled with shiny, matte, translucent, and opaque beads, metals, stones to add depth and impact, whether using clean lines or embellishing the piece to the nines. My artistic goal remains the same: create simple elegance. I now pronounce Leslie Fruman.
Hello. I'm going to share a screen here. Let's see. There we go. Can you all see?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just to go back in time, probably all of you could go back in time. You probably all dabbled in some creative endeavors as a child. I did beads. I did beads on those little metal looms. I did little beaded rings with that awful wire that was so thin that it would fracture. I made little square stitch beaded rings that didn't last very long, but they were fun to make. I did copper enamel. I did little scenes with my dolls and made clothes and so forth and so on. So I'm sure that some of you have done some of the same. And it just brings back memories going back there and thinking about what I had done as a child and then fast forwarding to the future. But, you know, you have time in between your childhood and what your passions might be. And in college, just to share with you, the picture that you're seeing on the screen is a pair of earrings that I made back in 1969. Yep, it was just glue and a little bit of metal, and voila, I had a pair of earrings. Anyways, it's just fun to think about, you know, what I have from the past. And I've tried to save some of the bits and pieces that I've made and from every era. And I'm going to be sharing some of those with you today, because whatever you do is kind of like a thread through your life. The creative process has been a thread through my entire life, always, whether it's coloring, playing with beads, or doing metal work. As beadwork has its discipline, so does metalwork. In beadwork, we see bead embroidery, loom work, and off loom work, which is kind of my area, peyote endobelly or herringbone, square stitch, netting, ladder stitch, right angle weave, etc. There's so many different things that you can do. And in metalwork, there's casting and fabricating. My area of interest was fabricating. That involved sawing, forming, soldering, sanding, filing, polishing, among other different skills that I would do. And I want to start from the beginning of when, as an adult, I started doing some art. This is not very pretty, but in 1986, I joined a metalwork class, and I was told to make a shape that had a pierced element, an open element, and then I had to saw it out, and I had to saw a couple Formica pieces and rivet, and those are those two dots that you see, in the white section here. Those are rivets, and it was just a learning experience. It's not beautiful, elegant, but it's a piece and it's a start, and we all have to start someplace. And so that was my start back in 1986. In 1994, color block clothes were in, and it was pink, white, and chartreuse. And I needed something to put it all together, bring it all together. And so I went to a bead store and I learned string. And so this is that piece. Back from then, I still hung on to it. And it was fun. And the clothes gave the inspiration, obviously, for the color. Inspirations can come from a lot of things. I'm highly interested in shapes. And so here was the second project that we did in metalwork, and it was a band ring. And I decided to do triangles. And you'll see the triangles thread throughout all of my work, my metalwork, my beadwork, and other shapes as well. Here, I was learning to create a ring and also to sweat solder, which is applying solder to the bottom of the piece of metal and soldering it to another piece of metal. And here I made two triangles and soldered them to this bigger piece, which is the ring band. Whoops, jumped. We'll go back. So I thought about triangles a lot in beadwork, and I thought about it as, it's got to be all about the corners. How do you make the shape of a triangle? And I was interested in crystal work, and so I did make this triangle shape. And it wasn't just a single step, and you'll see that at the end of the near the end of the presentation. But I learned to make this shape, and then, of course, combining the triangle shape into a larger shape. Here, this is doing peyote and brick stitch. And in metalwork, I actually set triangle stone. This is a clasp that I made. It's a bar clasp, or one you've seen those tube clasps that you slide. You probably use them in your beadwork where you slide them in and out. That's what that is. And this is just a triangle with colored stones set on it. So the triangles just keep happening. And that's not the only way to do triangles. In here, you could do netting. And I actually created a triangle shape within the netting itself. And here in brick stitch, I did little triangles and these little triangle fans up at the top. Then as I've gone along, I've decided that I really am interested in learning to set stones, shaped stones with pointy backs. And so I've set triangle shaped stones. And this one, these are 4 triangles that make a 4-leaf clover, and just simple triangle earrings with a pointy back stone. And my newest piece, this is called Trillium Pod Pendant. And this one, it actually, I don't know if you can see, there's a pod up here in the picture on the left, and that opens up to form this pendant piece. So it's small, can be worn small, or it can be worn large. And as I was designing this piece and working out, writing the instructions, because that takes a lot of time and you have to think about, how are people going to understand this? I was working on the center section, which is right, in the center of each of these, the purple or the pink one to the far right, that this could be just a simple pendant piece. And I decided that if I was going to wear the pod, I'd like it longer. So I decided that I would make another chain, and I decided to make a wrapped chain that could be connected to the longer chain of the necklace, so that the pod could be worn longer, or I could take that chain off and just wear it as a shorter necklace. But triangles are the whole thing there. If you can make 3 corners, then you can make 4 corners, and hence the square. And here I did crystal work with a square. And that's called crystal geometry. And these are just some bracelets that I made using all different balls and squares and triangles. Triangles can be formed from folded over squares or warped squares. Probably many of you are aware of having done warped squares, and that's what's used in these 3 pieces. Obviously the earrings are a component part, and then the ring is just one warped square with a pendant inserted inside. From setting a square stone to beading a square with crystals, to making beaded jewelry from square beads, or creating square metal links in a clasp, the square is just a cool shape. And so here, this is a clasp that I made. It's a box clasp. This is that tongue that inserts in to clasp this. And these are just square or rectangular beads, crystals formed into a square, and then other square beads turned on to form the diamond. I've done settings here with a square stone in metalwork on this kind of organic clasp, and organic, this is the piece, or set glass into metalwork, it's rectangular, or stacked up squares of beadwork and entrapped a stone, or I cast needlepoint mesh, which is all squares, and then use that as the framework for a beaded bag. And just combining squares with other items like circles is a lot of fun. This is called X's and O's, and it's reversible. So on the left, you see it's dominantly pink, and on the right, there's a lot of white. If you can make a corner, you can make a point, and setting a pear-shaped stone, whether beaded or set in metal, adds a degree of difficulty. One of the things that, I don't know if any of you have tried it in beadwork, but sometimes they don't want to sit straight. It takes a little bit extra focus, but this is just an open, on the left, an open crystal work pear shape. And then down here, pear shapes, and this is, I'll be talking about step bezels. And then this was just beadwork on filigree, and this is a setting that I actually soldered one setting to each filigree piece to create these earrings. I became very interested in pear-shaped stones and beadwork, combining the two. And here, this is done in crystal work. So instead of just having an open crystal form, I filled it with a stone. And this is Pele pendant, just combining 5 pear-shaped stones and creating an interesting crystal in the center, or just a simpler pear-shaped pair of earrings, Pele earrings. And I didn't stop there because there's so many possibilities. You know, if you just think about what if I did this or what if I did that. And so I combined 2 different sizes of pear stones and created this lariat, and these nestle together when they hang straight down. It's kind of nice and a simple design. And then this one has 3 pear-shaped stones, so it's built in the round. And so that's just another way of combining, you know, elements, you know, taking the same shape element and combining it in different ways. And that's, this one is teardrop lariat, and this is crystal carousel. Once you have the concept of doing a corner or a point, then hexagons, pentagons, and marquee shapes are possible. And so these rings are marquee shaped with a stone inserted in them. And here's that marquee shape open in crystal work. Here's I did a pentagon, but I didn't have a picture that showed well enough. This is a hexagon in crystal beadwork. So it's just a matter of figuring out how to make it all work together. And then here I actually set round stones, but I created a hexagon shape with the beadwork around the stones. And a hexagon is perfect for making easy joins that are continuous. The marquee or navette shape, this one, you know, I just turned what normally you would have vertical, and I turned it on its side. Just, I think it's a little bit more interesting. And then here you can make organic forms out of a geometric form. And this one is called crystal frond. That's crystal marquee. Crystal frond, I have an upcoming class with the Northwest Bead Society. And here are some more navettes set differently in beadwork, a ring, and then this one, trefoil, lavalier. It's just a smaller pendant. The possibilities are just endless. And when you think about beadwork and what you could do and which way you could go and how many different ways that you could use them, it's like really fun and exciting. At least for me, it is. Diamond shapes. Don't want to forget that. Here I took needlepoint mesh and cast it and then cut out little diamond shapes for the clasp on this bracelet on the left. In here, this one is Ambassador Bridge bracelet. This was I was in the designer of the year with beadwork, and this was one of the projects in 2014. But here I use diamonds, and I also use triangles up in the fans, and the design itself forms diamonds all along the edge. And here, just a straight diamond out of crystal work, and then beadwork with the chain. And that's Snow Star pendant. And with this one, I did a pave set. So if you look, you'll see little settings. These are all individual settings that were joined together to form the chain. But those same settings 9 of them were incorporated in the middle of this. And this is just a little bit of bead embroidery. This is bead embroidered all together. And then the off-loom work is connected. And that's called Precious Pave Pendant. That was also from the Designer of the Year 2014 with beadwork. And here we're talking about the oval, because the oval shape is interesting all by itself. You can find oval stones, or you can create oval shapes using different size beads. And that's what I did with these earrings. These are Pearl Palace earrings. And then if I take that same shape and turn it and join them into and link them together, I make a thin bracelet. Or if I turn them the other way, you get a totally different look altogether. This is just an oval setting box clasp that I made. And here I use that oval clasp, the button, the same thing that is the earring here. So you can thread the same things through, use them again and again. And then this is created by different size pearls joined together in netting. And then here I made an oval clasp, a toggle bar clasp. And I've made oval rings. I've made an oval set stone in beadwork for a cuff. And then here, again, turning a stone sideways instead of the long way, turning it sideways and having that oval shape stand out differently. In metalwork, I set a stone, oval stone here, and this is a point back stone. So it's a step bezel, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And then this whole purse top is oval in shape. And then it's got peyote and netting that is made off of it. And this opens interesting. You push this button in the front and lift the little stone that's set up there, and it opens up. Well, round is the easiest shape. It's easiest to make in beadwork, I think, in my opinion, and also in metalwork. You're not worried about corners. You're not worried about points. And so these are from the Crown Jewels collection that I've made. This is Crown Jewels collection 2. This one is from, this is called Trio of Crowns. And that was in the year, the 2014 Designer of the Year. That's one of the projects that I made. And then here, I set a donut and then set a stone in the donut. So round, easy peasy. Just thought I'd show a few more. Here I use, this is actually bezel wire, and that I soldered down to sheet and made it round and set this stone in the middle and then set another stone in the center. This one I let the stone, this opening be by itself, but I took a round disc, made the same kind of solder design on it, and then folded it over to create a bail. Here, this is Sunburst Pendant. I actually took rectangular beads and then set a round stone in the center and made this, it's a large pendant, created just a simple right angle weave bail on a end of belly or herringbone chain. More rounds, because round is easy. I've got lots of them. This is from Crown Jewels collection. The rings on the top are treasure chain rings and treasure chain earrings. This is crystal lace design jewelry. It's a whole collection that I made, you know, of just these lace elements that you see to the far right. So taking smaller elements and creating a whole jewelry piece. And I'm not doing any of these in consecutive order for, you know, as I created them. I've just put them in wherever they fit in terms of what I was talking about. Still talking about round settings. These are round, actually round beads in the interior. And then I built settings, and it is a step bezel setting, interestingly. And then beads made, you know, that are soldered, you know, formed out of sheet metal and decorative metal, and then textured. So you can do beads. You can make your own soldered beads in metal work. I experimented with that a little bit. This is just a layered pendant that is in the round, and then another round center. And then these are two-sided. These are, oh, and that one, this one, the necklace up in the right upper corner, that one is from my Designer of the Year project in 2014. That's called Dewdrops Pendant. And this is More Treasures in the bottom right. And that one, these are two-sided, and they're just fun things to do. And I made a whole series with treasure chain, treasure, this and that. And this Golden Gate up in the upper left, these I made a whole bunch of different colors, and I made earrings that were somewhat bead embroidered, and that pendant, that diamond pendant, was made from these component parts that I spoke about previously. And this is an all round, everything is round, whether it be a flat back, and there are two flat backs back to back. These are reversible. This is it's called Baubles and Doodad. This is the bauble, that's a doodad, and here's another doodad. And these are just fun to make. Not hard, but fun. Here I took it's a cabochon, a two-holed cabochon, and combined them to make a beaded bracelet. And it looks very much like the bracelet that I showed in the previous one, but done totally differently. It's amazing what pathways that you can do with beadwork that give you so much versatility. And the bottom one, which is a collaborative that I did with Diane Whiting. I did the necklace, Diane did the earrings, and we taught this as a class together, but I soldered a metal setting to the filigree and then did beadwork around it. And then here, simple beaded balls that are just, it's fun to do. Simple stuff. I don't think everything has to be hard. Chains. Chains function to hold pendants or can be the feature of a jewelry piece. Fabricating metal chains inspired me to create beaded chains. And so on the far right is called Treasure Chain. And what's interesting about this, these are made out of 11O seed beads. The links, you'll see the opening this way, and then you don't see the opening this way because I turned, you know, the a quarter turn the links so that it made the chain a little more interesting. And this is, these are done with all 15s, and I didn't turn the chain. I just made all the links exactly the same, like little doggy bones, so to speak. So that, you know, so that you can see there's a difference. And then here's a metalwork one that I combine all different kinds of links, smaller ones, larger ones. And then I combined it with glass beads from our other artists and cast pieces and PMC, which is precious metal clay pieces. You can create, with beadwork, you can create square chains, rectangular chains. And these are just really, they're fun to do. They're not hard. And it's just fun to do something interesting and different. And you could even just make, you know, 2 of these and have a pair of earrings. This is called Four Corners Bracelet. And this one is called Pyramid Pendant. And there are a lot of square links with 15O seed beads that link them together. I didn't want to forget about the chevron chain. I haven't done it in metalwork, but I just thought, yeah, you know, we'll throw this chain in because it's fun to do different kinds of chains, and beadwork lends itself to so many possibilities. And it doesn't take a humongous amount of skill to learn some of these. A lot of these are fairly simple. I like twisted chains. And here I did it in metalwork and then in beadwork. And I'd like to note that Leslie Frazier, if you look in the book, The Art and Elegance of Creative Bead Weaving, Leslie Frazier was the one who came up with the idea of the twisted endobelly or twisted herringbone stitch. And so I incorporated it in this particular piece. And that's called Eclipse Necklace. There are things called loop and loop chains. This is an ancient chain that's been made for thousands of years. And it's an easy metalwork chain to start learning on. And when I was teaching metalwork, I often started with this because you get a lot of experience in soldering, which is the thing that probably gets most people the most nervous. And it's actually quite magical and fun. But you actually fold these, and you have to do more processes with metalwork, whereas with the beadwork, you bead each link, and then you don't have to stretch them like you do in the metalwork. And then you fold these, and these are not stitched together. These are just woven together. And it's just really just a fun, pretty piece. And that's called a Link It Up bracelet. And if I could do a bracelet, why not do a necklace? And so I made this chained cabochon where I used just 3 links of the bracelet that I did before. And then I made this reversible pendant that could be removed. You could wear the clasp as the neck, as the pendant. This could be worn a lot of different ways. And this clasp I'll be talking about later. Organic shapes, Organic shapes can be worked in metal and beads. And here I made I set an opal and made an organic shape. And here I did a beadwork ring and made an organic shape. For this one, this is a casting, one of my first castings that I did. It's a little bit heavy, but that same kind of shape, that organic shape that kind of, moves around, has waves, and that's what this one is too. This one is the original art piece where I made the clasp. I set an oval stone and the clasp, I call it a bra clasp. There'll be another one that you'll see in a little bit, but it works where this hook part actually goes through some of the beadwork to hold it, and it works. And it's like those old-fashioned bra clasps. I don't think they use those very much anymore. And then people who are beaders wanted to make that piece, and they wanted me to make the clasp for them. And I said, no, I don't think so. It's too much work. So I came up with a way to clasp it without having to make a metal clasp. And so that's Calypso Cuff. And more organics. Here, I put flowers and leaves, in this with this opal. And here, this is a very early piece. I think this is the first piece that I taught at the Bead and Button Show. And it's called Pacific Rim Necklace. And this is a bracelet called Queen Victoria's Ruffled Cuff that I did a long time ago. If you can make, leaves out of metal, and you can take drops and make a very organic bracelet. There's so many possibilities. These are just brooches as opposed to pendants that I made out of beadwork. And then if you think about that crystal frond that I showed you earlier, it's another organic, taking a geometric shape and making an organic form. If your stone is flat on the back, it's much easier to set than a stone with a point back. So here are some examples of metalwork. And then this was a druzy stone, very small. And what I did is I set it I set it up and I built the beadwork up to make it more important and to make it more dramatic. So there's lots of things that you can do with a small stone and incorporate it in beadwork and have it be, you know, really something special. Let's talk about step bezels. So bezels are what hold your stones in a setting for metal and also in beadwork. So here I'm showing you the back of the piece that's on the right. And what I did is I took these brick beads and combined them, they're 2-hole, and then I set the stone right on the edge, and then I entrapped them with nets and crystals. So that is actually a step bezel because that stone is sitting on the edge of these bricks, these brick beads that were put into a circle. And that's a beadwork step bezel. There are lots of different ways to do bezels. There's a tube setting, and that's kind of like what you were looking at before, only with a tube set, you take a thick walled tube and you drill down in it, and then you set your stone. And this is, you saw this piece earlier in the presentation. This was one of the articles that I wrote for Jewelry Magazine. Well, you can take crystals, creating nets in the front and back for point back stones, and that's exactly what I did with these. And here are examples of step bezels in the metalwork. What you have to do, you're creating a seat, kind of like a toilet seat, you know, so you don't fall in, okay? I know it sounds awful, but you know, that's the simplest way I can describe it. So I took a little piece of, I made this outside setting, and then I took a piece of wire, flattened it, and put it inside to make these settings down here. And then it's basically the same thing in beadwork. So this is the back of the stone. And what I did is I made a surround with right angle weave, and then I used smaller beads and created the seat. That's this, the silver beads. And then, you know, I built up the side walls and then put my stone in and entrapped it with smaller beads. Here's the same thing, only here I did a round stone. There, the kind of coppery color beads are the seat. And then on this one, I built up the side walls, and then I made the hexagon surround. Here are more examples of step bezels. Clasps. Clasps can add to the overall design of a piece, or it can be the focus of a piece. So for this necklace right here, this was the clasp that I made. So it using the silver with the silver chain and silver metal, and then the peridot stone with the peridot stones in there. And for this piece, which it's a big cuff, it's Pearl Palace cuff, I made this nice oval button up in the upper right-hand corner. So I like the design to incorporate the clasp, or you can make it a hidden clasp so that just the design is the feature. So on these, there is a clasp in the interior that you just can't see on both of these bracelets. A lot of times I'll use like a slide clasp or a magnetic clasp that slides together. Clasp can be the actual feature. You saw this piece earlier, and that is the feature of this piece. This is just embellished right angle weave, just real simple. Here, this is just incorporated. It looks really nice with the design of the piece. Here's a metal clasp that I made. Here's the front of it, and here's the back. There's a little hook that locks it, and there are little bars that when I'm ready to add beadwork, I can add it to those bars. And on this one, this is Trabuco Canyon Cuff. This one, the clasp, it can be a feature, can be worn on top or bottom. Clasp can just be another pretty element of the overall design. So this shape is just a smaller one of these. This shape is actually echoed in the center of the pendant that this goes with. And these just go, the little brick elements, just simple beading in the center of that. Or it can be a component part, which is what this is. And that's in the Golden Gate bracelet. Just different color than what you saw before. And here, you can make a clasp. It can be really tiny and be a small element. So this is part of the clasp, and then this is the mechanism that actually holds it together. And the idea here was, I don't know if you can think of safety clasps on some bracelets would have like a little ball, and it would have a little metal piece, almost like a diamond shaped metal piece that would fold over and lock just by friction. And that was the idea behind this clasp. And then these, you know, just simply echo what's going on in the piece. I call this a puzzle toggle because when the bar is in place, you can't tell that it's a clasp. And I have thoughts of making something of beadwork that would do something like this. I don't know exactly what, but that's future. There's always something down the line that I'll be working on. Always got to have something, and my brain is always going in circles trying to think of what's the next thing. And sometimes something else jumps in the way and gets me going on a different project altogether. But bottom line, from start to finish, from concept to completion, using shapes, organic forms, or other inspirations, whether working with metals or beads, creating a design has frustration and joy. It's frustrating because it takes multiple attempts oftentimes, as seen in the picture above, to make that triangle, crystal triangle, until a design is complete. And I want to thank you for your attention and offer to answer any questions.
So when you're designing the step up bezel clasps, you start with the ring first of any sort, of any part of it, and then build in the layers, or where do you start?
Okay, so for the step bezel, let me go back to the picture. So what I start with is I start with right angle weave. And it's a certain count for given, you know, stone. And then I bring 15s, they're smaller. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain, you know, there's a certain amount of math that's involved in it. For a single point, I usually have an odd number of right angle weave units, and bring it in, you know, I actually reduce by one a right angle weave unit to make the point. Okay. And create the 15s, and then I build the sidewall up. And actually, it might be more understandable. Let me got something here that I can show you. Because that's all talk. Okay, so I'm going to leave that screen and go to a different just put this down. I'm going to stop the share here and Okay. Another light on the subject. There we go. Okay, I'm going to turn this around so it's left to right. So here's the right angle weave strip. And then I have to work the peak, make a peak, for this is a navette setting, and I'm working 15s. I do one row, and then I put a second row in to actually make the spot for the stone to sit. And then I start to build up a sidewall. So the gold beads are going vertical. And
Okay.
here, so there are 3 rows of sidewall there until you have the 3 rows of sidewall until you can set the stone. And it keeps it perfectly straight. Let's see if I can, this one's loose, so I can hold that up so you can see.
That
And
makes,
this one is used in crystal frond. This and a couple other pieces that I was showing you, the navette.
so then you go back down to 15s on the top as well.
Yeah, there are 15s, yes, on the top. And then this one, because I didn't want to lose the navette shape, I did not put anything at the peak, so I had to build along the sides.
Okay.
Each one is done differently. I did put 11s at the bottom, and what's great about that is that it elevates the stone so that you don't have to worry about covering, like if you have a foil back.
Mhm.
And also it gives the stone more depth and importance. So it raises it up higher. So it gives you more things that you can work with.
Absolutely. Makes it look fancier.
It makes it fancy, and we love fancy stuff.
Yeah. There's a question on here about the folding triangle pendant. I think that was the pod. I think, Jan,
Oh,
is that what you're talking about? Is that,
Yes,
is that a
yes.
pattern you're teaching soon, or is that an older one?
yes. So I'm teaching that. I'm teaching it in California at Beadology Bead Company. I'll put that out here. And then when it folds up, you take it off the chain, fold it up, and you put the other 2 loops through. Let's see if this one is this one. I just got this back from the photographer. So to fold it up, goes like that. And you
Oh,
put,
wow.
put your chain through here.
So will you have that pattern available or a class available?
The class is going to be happening this fall. I'm doing it through social media in November. And I'm doing it through Beadology in October. And then there'll be more. I mean, there's more coming. I've been asked. So, and I don't have the dates yet, but I know that I'll be teaching it for social media on October 29th. And I'll be, I don't remember the date at Beadology, but that'll probably be predominantly in person. But that's
Okay.
that. And then these are the other, let's grab some of the other parts. I don't know if this helps you to visualize.
Oh, wow.
So this bracelet is a wrap. Like that.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So it's lots of options for people, different tastes. People have different tastes of what they like and what they don't like.
So Leslie, will you make that, the folding one, will you make that available as a pattern or as a kit on your website?
Once I'm done teaching it, I will
okay.
do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still seats available for one of the classes?
There's seats available for the classes. It's open, because it's just been published on social media. And the other class that's coming up is Crystal Frond. Let me put some of these out in front of you. there's so many color possibilities.
Leslie, this is Hannah. I have the link up from social media. What was the name of the other store that you're teaching at?
Beadology, Bead Company in Huntington Beach.
Perfect,
And
I'll get that link.
Yes, and there will be, they probably don't have it up yet. And I'm just showing you, you know, like color is,
Oh, you
with
got a
beads,
lot of
color
colors.
is everything. That's the beauty of beads. That's what I love about beads. It makes me so excited. There's so many colors you can do. So, you know. Does anybody want to see anything else? Shall I show away or
Yeah, keep showing.
keep showing? Okay.
Leslie, for your classes, will the kits be coming through you or will it be coming through someone else?
I do all my own kits. If you're going to some stores, if I teach for a store, sometimes they want to do the kits, and that's, you know, that's their prerogative. But there we go. This is called Trabuco Canyon Cuff. Some of these are not even finished, but it's really pretty.
Mhm.
I love all your colors. They really do just glitz and glam, and it is like the Queen's jewels, that's for sure.
Well, you know, like in, you know, just having, you know, just talking to people and seeing what people like. I mean, color is everything. And people just like different colors. I mean, how many of you have bought the same tube of beads 5 times or whatever? You know, we go to the same thing. So I try to force myself to stretch into different colors so that, you know, I'm part of, you know, like appeal to everybody. This is Eclipse necklace. And this one's a pattern and kit on my website. So you can get kit or pattern. And this one's reversible and it can be worn 2 ways. So it can be worn, you loop this over the pendant piece, you slide one of these over to the other side.
Ah.
And you loop this between the first and second ring. And you slide this down. I'm doing this, usually it's easier on. There. And then you
The
just
ring
slide
you're
this
wearing is
down to lock
gorgeous.
it. So it locks like that.
Oh,
So it's worn, you know, it can be worn 2 ways,
long or short. Okay.
long or short. So really long. I can't even, let's see if we can zoom out a little bit. No, that's too. I can't get the whole chain in there.
That's okay.
This chain is done with 8s and 11s, and the other chain on the folding one that you're talking about, the folding triangle,
Mhm.
that one is done with ICOs or cylinder beads and 15s.
Oh, okay. So it really is much smaller.
Yes, yes. Why don't I put that one? Let's see if I can grab it, just to kind of give you a difference in size.
The ring you're wearing is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. Okay, see? So this is 8s and 11s, and this is cylinder beads and 15s. So quite a bit of difference.
I would like to see the beaded clasp that you did. It had a stem and then a larger section and it looked like something folded over the top. Can you show us how that one works?
Okay, I'm trying to think. The beaded. Let me just go back. Oh, yeah. So I think you're thinking of this. I think you're thinking of this, where there's this part. Is this the one? And then the-
It was gold and you just showed a stem and it looked like something folded over it, a beaded section folded over it.
I think that's this one.
Okay,
And so these little loops just go over, there's a ridge. There's a
okay,
little
got,
loop on
got
each
it.
side. You got it?
Thank
And then,
you.
and this is the safety loop. I think
Oh,
that's the
okay, so
one.
the sides go on first and then the middle flips over.
Right, and it's a safety loop, and I use a safety loop a lot. Here's, let me show you this one because so this one, it's the same element. And so this loop, this is the safety loop. This is the, let's take this apart. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. The stem. I know what you're talking about. I'll get that next. Sorry.
No worries. They're all so cool and so intricate that it's just amazing.
Yeah, so this is something that I do, and you can all do this for yourselves to not lose your bracelets or necklaces, is that this is the button, so to speak. And I loop over that. And then I have a secondary loop from the button side that goes over that one. And that is a safety. It actually works. It helps to hold that first loop on.
I can see
It's a
it.
simple thing, but it really does work. And so, that's just a tip for you all.
That's a really cool thing.
Can a
Just to show-
person do that by themselves?
Yes, you can. And these are just like in that same vein. I didn't show the earrings to this, but these are earrings. These are kind of like a pave, a grouping of settings that are tight together. And I did a little bit of bead embroidery. I'm not a true bead embroidery person, but there's so many things that you can do. I even made a ring. Let's get the stem one. Now I remember. Let's see, let's go to this one. I believe it was this one, and this is the stem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let me pull this apart. It might help to visualize. So what it is I made this little beaded doodad, it's just a round bead. And I put it up like on a little stem. And this part it's beaded such that it's more oval in shape. And so when it's put around here, it stays better than if you put a round group of beads around. And this one, I just clasp through. You can clasp through the little opening of that stone setting and just loop it over just like you would a button. But what's nice is that when there's anything pulled against it, it flattens the little metal or the bead part flattens down so it stays in place.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, sorry. You know what?
Yeah, to hold it too. That was cool.
Well, as long as we're here, we've got the Link It Up bracelet.
Because those just fold up and then you put the next one through and it folds up and you put the next one through and fold it up.
Yep, so it's just like this. So if I take this piece out, let's see if I can do this. Let me move this stuff so it'll be less stuff to look at. All right, so you make this oval. It's basically you're making an oval shape. And this one, I say going through the shoulder,
That's so cool. That's how they make those rubber band bracelets.
Yeah, it's like a rubber band bracelet, or they used to make belts like this
Yep.
years ago. Some of you may be old enough to remember those. It's actually an old metalwork technique. It's a loop and loop chain.
Okay.
And there's so many possibilities of things that you can do. Let's get this out of the way.
So cool ideas.
Let me read some of the comments to you, Leslie.
Okay.
Rochelle says she loves the convertibleness of the pods. And I'm going to say your name wrong. I apologize in advance. Avada, or is it Veda? Avada says she did the eclipse and she really loved it. Marlene says there are so many varieties to all of your designs. Keep building on basic shapes. Berta says she loves the puzzle clasp. And Beth would like to know, do you still have all the items that you've made, or do you sometimes sell and or gift your work? So she wants to know about the finished pieces. And then finally, Roberta says that they're really cool ideas.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I have not sold my pieces. I have a friend who has taken a few pieces. Maybe I can stop the share unless you want to see more. Then I can be part of the party. There we go.
You are part of the party. You're the center of the party.
Anyway, so I have a lot of the pieces. I kind of think of it this way. My kids get first choice of my work, and then they can do with the rest as they please. My son said he even wants some of it. So I don't know, and some of it, who knows what they'll do. There's too much. Maybe I should let some of it go. I don't know. But as of now, I have not sold my work. I have sold pieces like when I've done fundraiser and sold some pieces, usually smaller pieces. I've done, let's see, like these. I've done, I'll just hold this up, but like the triangle earrings, those are great for fundraising and stuff, or gifting. I've gifted smaller pieces. Every holiday I give my hairdresser, she loves earrings, and I give her a pair of earrings. I make her a pair of earrings, and sometimes it makes me create something new and different. So yeah, I have given away some things. I've given my granddaughters little beadwork. Actually, the little pendant in the folded triangle, the bracelet, one of the charms on the bracelet, I made for each of my granddaughters. They're both 5. And so I don't want to make anything real extravagant. And I made the boys just things that they could hold, that they would like. So I made my 8-year-old, I made a open triangle. And for the youngest one, I made this intricate ball thing. So.
That's so cool that you don't leave the boys out.
No, I'm not leaving the boys out. That it's really interesting because I have a case down in my living room, and I have just different beadwork in there. And there's something that I made, and I took a class with Nancy Meinhardt like a million years ago. So it was beading right angle weave over a form. It was what do you call that? That clay, like Fimo clay, or do you know what I'm talking about? Polymer clay. Yes, thank you. So it was polymer clay that was shaped weird, and I just beaded over it, and you put different beads in different colors in different spots. And one of them is purple. And my youngest grandson, who's 3, he calls it the purple. Can I hold the purple? Can I hold? It's very funny.
That's
So,
adorable.
yeah. The dogs don't get any.
Okay. No beaded collars, no little charms, nothing.
Nah, they're a ragtag bunch of dogs. They're too rough and tumble. Are there any questions that I can answer anymore? Or?
Thank you. This has been really informative. I've learned a lot.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you all for coming and
It
listening.
was very interesting.
Thank you.
Very much so. And I mean, just explaining all the details one by one, it really makes a difference.
Well, I
Any-
hope that you got a few tips out of the work, out of the discussion anyway.
And
It was
lots of inspiration.
wonderful. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
So amazing. And we look forward to seeing your work more and people find her classes. We put the links in the chat if you want to go find more. And on her website, she'll be posting more of all of her classes coming up throughout the year.
Yep, and into next year. So I hope to see some of you, in class. Just remind me. You were at the Upper Midwest Bead Society talking.
Absolutely.
Good.
Oh, thank you so much. So inspiring.
Thank you.
Happy beading, Leslie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this recording will be on Zoom in the future. If any of your friends missed the meeting, then we will be putting it there. So we just don't want anybody to be left out.